What's going on, my dear viewers? You guys are watching Theory Hammer, so welcome back to the channel. I'm Kevbot, the legendary Kevbot that no one's ever heard of, apparently. And today we're going to continue our deep dive into the Death Guard Codex and break down the Champions of Contagion Detachment rule. So, that is what we have on the plate for today's video, so make sure that you thunderhammer the like and subscribe button, thunderhammer Nurgle's bell, check out the other videos, leave some comments, let me know if I miss anything here. And if you watched the other videos, which are hopefully linked below, then we're going to be doing the same format here. We're going to take another look at the army rule, we'll summarize it real quick, summarize a bunch of the good units that are in the codex, and then we'll take a look at the detachment itself and see where those units fit in. So starting up with our army rule, it's Nurgle's Gift. It's an expanding aura. It starts at 3 inches, it gets bigger by 3 inches every round, and then it stops at 9 inches. Enemy units in the aura are -1 toughness, and then you pick either -1 save, -1 to hit, or -1 OC, leadership, and movement all rolled together. Enemy units also gain those debuffs while they are in the aura, so you pick it before the battle, so you can kind of tailor it to the army that you're up against, and you're almost always going to take the -1 save, which is the Rattle Joint Og. So that's our army rule. Now, let's just very quickly go over the units again, starting with the characters. And when I talk about the AP, I'm going to assume that everything is including the Rattle Joint debuff, because that's just what you're taking all the time. I'm not going to do a huge breakdown here, I'm just going to rip through them. Here we go. Lord of Contagion, T7 with a 2-up, 4-up, and 6 wounds. He's the dude that gets back up on a 3-up, gives lethals and sustained, gives lance and sustained to his unit, and has 5 attacks at 9, 3, 3 with lethals. And then, of course, gets his own abilities with lance and sustain if he's attached to a unit. And then you can also take this guy as a solo character. He's really good that way as well, just because he can slap pretty hard, and he gets back up, and he's just annoying. His points cost is probably 110 points. We're not really sure at the time of recording, but that is apparently the leaked points costs. Then we have the Lord of Virulence, same exact profile. Toughness 7 with a 2-up, 4-up, 6 wounds. He gives reroll wounds to his unit when they shoot their guns. He picks a unit within 30 inches. He gives out reroll 1s to hit that unit, unless you're shooting a blast weapon, in which case you reroll all your hits. He's got an anti-infantry 2-up flamer. It's basically AP2, and he has 5 attacks at strength 8, AP3, and then 2 damage with lethal hits. You're going to take this guy and attach him to Blight Lords. That's basically the only place that he goes. On the Lord of Contagion, he's going to be with Death Shroud every single time, unless you're taking him solo, but he goes with your Death Shroud. Lord of Virulence is 90 points. Maybe. Who knows? We'll see soon. Then we have our Plague Caster. He's got a pretty cool flamer. D6 plus 3 shots at strength 6, AP2, D3 damage. If he does wound you with his flamer, he makes you -2 to your move. He's toughness 6 now, and he gives sustained hits to his unit for shooting and combat, as long as they shoot an afflicted unit. He's probably 60 points. Then we have the Demon Prince on foot, T12, 10 wounds, 2-up, 4-up. He gives out strat discount, so anything within 12 inches, he can make it -1 CP once per turn. He's also a lone op if he's within 3 inches of friendly infantry. And he also gives out cover, which I don't think I've mentioned in, like, any video so far. Like, I've mentioned it, but I haven't, like, mentioned it. That's a thing. So if you have a Demon Prince nearby, and Morty's, like, chilling in the middle of the table, and you're playing, like, Virulent Vectorum, and you want to give him -1 damage and all that stuff and make him hard to kill, he could also be in cover, even though he's probably not in cover. Anyway, moving on. We got the Prince. He's 195 points. I was going to say 75. Oh my god, could you imagine? 195 points, gives out the cover, and then he's got 7 attacks at 8, 3, 3 with lethals, or he's got 14 attacks at 6, 2, 1 with lethals. Okay, I'm like running out of breath here. Foulblight spawn, also T6 now, still gives fights first, but you have to pick 1 unit in your army to do it per turn, and they can only do it once a game. Then he has another ability, which is awesome, that enemy units cannot start or end an advanced move within 9 inches of him. He's got his flamer, it's pretty good, it's D6 shots, it's strength 7, AP3, 2 damage, it's, you know, flamer, so torrent, ignores cover as well. Holy shit, it ignores cover, it's so good. He's 60 points right now, so what an asshole. The Futurefire, same deal, toughness 6, gives all the weapons in his unit lethal hits, and lets them crit on 5s. His grenade is a little bit better as well, it's strength 7, AP2, and 2 damage, 45 points probably. We also have Mortarion. He gives out a 6-inch aura of do mortal wounds to stuff at the end of the movement phase, so that's pretty good. And he also gives out reactive moves to friendly units or reactive shoots, possibly fights on death. He's awesome. He's got 5 attacks at 14, 4, d6 plus 1 with lethals, dev wounds, or 15 attacks at 832 with sustained hits and lethals. He's 380 points. And remember, I'm just going to say it again. The AP includes Rattle Joint Affliction. Okay? So, Lord of Poxes, T6 with 5 wounds. Basically a Lord for the Nurgle boys. He gives out Lone Op with an 18, and then he extends his contagion range by 3 inches, so he can go up to 12. His gun, or his, not his gun, he doesn't even have it, get out a pistol. His combat, his fist, his big fist of death, his real big stinky fist. 8 attacks at AP 3, basically. 2 damage with lethals and dev wounds, and he's got 6 attacks. 75 points. Pretty good. Pretty fucking good. So, for the other units, we have the Plague Marines, T6 now as well. They all have all their cool options. So, probably like a bunch of Flamers, Blight Launchers, tons of Power Fists. If they shoot a unit, they can make it Afflicted, and they can have a -1 leadership debuff within 6 inches from their Icon of Despair, I think it's called. And they are 20 points apiece, and you can run them in units of 5, 7, or 10. You then have your Poxwalkers, which now gained Infiltrate. They're super duper good because they infiltrate and they give out Affliction, and it's 10 guys that infiltrate for 60 points. Can't get better than that. Spawn, same deal there. They have a Scout of 6, an 8-inch move, 5 of Feel No Pain. They're now Toughness 7, so they're just annoying to kill. Deadly Demise 1, which is sweet. These guys are also OC 1, which means they can also do actions early, and they do damage to things that hit them in combat. So you roll up to 6 dice on 4s, they take mortal wounds. 80 points for 2. I love it. Then we got the Blight Lords. They're T7 now as well, with a 5-inch move. They get +1 to their strength and AP if they shoot an afflicted target, at least as long as they're a 5-man unit or they have a character attached. They will probably have a character attached, which is good because that character gives them rerolls to wound. Their combat's 2 damage instead of 1, but they have 3 attacks now instead of 4. So a higher potential damage, but less attacks. 180 points or 360. Then you have the Death Shrouds. T7, 4 wounds, 2 up, 4 up. Absolutely ridiculous. They give their character a 4 up Feel No Pain, and they can deep strike within 6 inches of afflicted units, and then they can charge. Super duper good. And they have 4 attacks apiece on them as well. Their strength 8, AP 3, 2 damage, hitting on 2s with lethals. And then the Lord of Contagion, he's going to be attached to that unit. He's going to give them Sustained 1 and Lance. And they also have a sweep profile, which is strength 4, AP 1. With lethals as well, so there's just so many attacks, dude. They have 8 attacks apiece with that. Like, so many attacks. It's so many attacks, bro. So they'll just mince meat pretty much any unit in the game. So yeah, Blight Lords and Death Shroud, both nuts. And the Death Shroud are 140 points for 3, or they're 300 for 6. So you are paying an extra 20 points there. But that is if the points are to be believed. Then we have our vehicles. We got our bloat drone with the heavy blight launcher. It's D6 plus 2 shots at strength 10, AP 3, and 3 damage. Again, affliction is being included. This afflicts things by accident. You roll a dice if it destroys a unit. If you roll a 4 up or a 5 up, depending on whether or not that thing was afflicted, everything within 6 inches of that model becomes afflicted. It's 100 points. It's super good. Predator Destructor, also really good. This thing gives +1 AP when it targets a non-monster or vehicle thing, so after it's done shooting, pick a thing that it shot at that's not a monster or vehicle. Anything else that shoots it gets +1 to its AP. Its main gun has lethals, its heavy bolters are awesome, it's 145 points, and that's what you get. Then you have the Defiler, 165 points according to the leaks, which I cannot believe. Toughness 11 with 14 wounds and a 5 up, Feel No Pain, 5 up invuln. It's a 5 up invuln. The main gun is D6 plus 3 shots at strength 10, basically AP 2 because of affliction, and flat 3 damage. Has a twin-linked heavy bolter and a heavy flamer. It's got 5 attacks in combat at strength 16, AP 4, D6 plus 1 damage. Its main ability is that it walks over stuff, and its new ability is that it takes away cover. So you shoot a unit, that unit no longer has cover, which is hilarious. So, yep, that's what you get. And then Blight Haulers, +1 hit and wound monsters and vehicles, only in the shooting phase though, so not when they overwatch. Pretty good multi-melta, that's now a lethal multi-melta, that's +1 to hit and wound, and the rocket too, +1 to hit and wound with that. 90 points apiece, pretty fast, they move 10 inches, they're just pretty good. Plague Burst Crawlers, a little bit further range on their entropy cannons. The Mortar, this is basically the same as before, D6 plus 3 shots at 812 with lethal hits and and blast and indirect fire. But yeah, its special rule is nuts now, everything within 3 inches of the target that it's selecting as the target. You roll a dice before you make any attacks. and to see if they get hit by mortal wounds, and they take it on a 5-up if they're afflicted, so I love it, or a 6-up if they're not afflicted, but they're probably going to be afflicted, because you got ways to afflict things. And then we have the Rhino, 85 points, gives you rerolls to wound when you get out, super duper good, and that's everything. Those were all the units. Okay, so, sweet. Unit breakdown, refreshed our memory, even though we just ripped through it like crazy, but we're going to look at the detachment itself now. Our detachment rule for the Champions of Contagion is Manifold Maladies. At the start of the battle round, you can select one of the plagues listed in Nurgle's gift. That plague is active instead of the one that you chose at the start of the game, so it lasts all game until you choose a new one, and you can just pick a new one every turn if you need to. So that's really, really cool. Right off the bat, I love it. This takes your army rule and gives you a lot more control over how it works. And realistically, you're going to choose Rattle Joint almost every game when the game starts, but having the option to change this up every turn is really good. Having options is always good, but this will require a bit more finesse to play correctly because you have to make sure that you're choosing the right things at the right times. So that's the detachment rule. Now let's take a look at the enhancements. Starting us up here, probably the best enhancement like in the Codex, which is Final Ingredient. If the bearer's unit destroys a character in melee, you pick a second affliction and its effects happen for the entire game. As long as the enemy unit is within your contagion range, they're afflicted with the second affliction all game. So basically, the moment there is a character anywhere near your squad of Plague Marines, they get out, they pop that character, and they give your entire army a second debuff, which is actually a third debuff. If you can get this off early, you probably just win the game. I don't know a whole lot of factions that can play a competent game at -1 toughness, -1 save, and -1 to hit. Now, it's important to note that this goes only on a Futurefire, so no sticking this on a Lord of Contagion and deep striking within 6 inches and just auto getting it. That's not happening here. But I can easily see you getting this by turn 2. Like, turn 1, your Rhino drives up into the nook and it's safe. Turn 2, the guys disembark, they move, they charge, they kill the character, and they proc the enhancement. So this is just really, really, really good. It is once per battle, so you can't do this multiple times. But dude, like, what? Super good. The next one is the Visions of Vigilance. Plaguecaster only, so each of these enhancements is going to go on a specific character. But this one causes any unit the Plaguecaster hits to also become afflicted, which is kind of cool because his unit, his ability thing, his data sheet ability is sustained hits 1 only when they're targeting an afflicted unit. And his enfeebling ability, it says after this model has shot. So you could shoot this guy first, he afflicts the unit, and then your Plague Marines get their sustained hits 1, which they don't need because they have flamers probably, but overall, it's fine. It's not amazing. The Plaguecaster takes up a spot in the unit, so while you get the sustained one all the time, you do lose fights first, or you lose crits on 5s. You lose something here, so not sure about this one, but it is definitely good just objectively speaking. It's a very good enhancement. Then we have Needle of Nurgle. I think this is objectively not that great. It goes on a Plague Surgeon, and I really want this to be good, but I just don't like it that much. What this does is it allows the Plague Surgeon to restore D3 models to the unit. I do wish it just added an additional model to the unit, because sometimes you're going to roll a 1 anyway, which he can already do that. But yeah, I mean, sometimes you'll roll the 3, sometimes you roll a 2 and get an extra guy, but I don't like the randomness of it. It would have been nice if it was just straight up like brings back an additional model. I'm just not a huge fan of these things because this basically only affects Plague Marines, and I just don't think you want it, honestly. Like, how hard is it to kill a unit of 2 wound bodies without an invuln that only have a 3-up save? It's not that hard. So I just see it having too many drawbacks personally, needing to not roll a 1 or 2 and then needing to survive. I just don't see myself taking it if I were to play this detachment. So finally, the next thing that we have here is the Cornicopagus. I think I said that right. I literally had to write it down and spell it phonetically in order to pronounce that shit. So anyway, this goes on a Lord of Poxes, the character that I haven't really talked about too much during these videos. He's the Lord guy that gives out lone op within 18 inches of his unit, and he does have a dev wound combat weapon, so rerolls to wound on him, it does make him pretty smacky. I probably should have mentioned him a little bit more in passing, but I didn't. So I'm sure there's some weird ways to make him like super duper good, but I'm just not sure what they are yet. But yeah, this guy's cool in here because what it does allow is the character to pick an affliction. So this enhancement is best on him because this guy gives off +3 to his range of his affliction. Might not be bad here, Something about it just doesn't interest me all that much. I'm probably wrong, but that's what we got. Those are our enhancements. I like the Visions of Virulence and the Final Ingredient. Final Ingredient is like the best enhancement in the Codex. It's completely ridiculous. You can just get a second affliction permanently all game long. So like, if all I ever got was -1 toughness, -1 to your save, and your -1 to hit me, and that's all I got, I wouldn't even give a shit about strats or anything. My army would be outrageous without anything else. And that can legitimately be what you get here. And you would have strats and stuff. So super duper good detachment rule and enhancements so far. But let's look at the strats. Like I said, all the enhancements aren't great, but just super good. It's good. Let's look at the strats next, though. We have a few that are also very strong. The first one is Blissful Filth. It's 1 CP in the shooting or fight phase. You get crits on 5s, and this is just good. This makes things like the Death Shrouds or Blight Lords or even Plague Marines, if you're not taking the Futurefire, makes even the Plague Marines much better. It doubles the amount of lethal hits that you get, and it's especially scary on a full unit of Death Shrouds. This puts, at minimum, 18 wounds on something at 832. If it's not toughness 12, it's going to be a lot more than that. Like, this and the character will wipe 10 Terminators. Having crits on 5s is just good, and it does not matter all that much who's getting them. At the end of the day, it really does belong on Terminators, but either the Blight Lords or the Death Shrouds, because Plague Marines are already going to have access to it with that guy, and I love that. The next one's Grotesque Fortitude. It's 1 CP in the shooting or fight phase. You get +2 to your toughness. So again, Death Shrouds, toughness 9, dude. Ew. This makes a unit of Plague Marines toughness 8. Bolters wound them on fucking 6s. The only time this won't matter is when something is strength 10 or higher that's hitting you. And it's important to note that this strat only works for an attached unit, so one with a character. But yo, imagine running into a unit of Death Shrouds with strength 8 Power Fist and being like, okay, sweet, I wound them on 3s, only to find out, oh wait, they're toughness 9 now, and I wound them on 5s. That's half the amount of damage. I just really like that this strat exists. With the stretch toughness system in 10th edition, I think iterations of 2 are better. +1 toughness is cool, but a lot of the time it misses a breakpoint or it's just like not quite there and it just doesn't quite feel like enough. +2 covers a lot more of that range and actually makes things feel tougher. Even when used on a unit of Blight Lords, like T9 Blight Lords, that's fine. Have fun getting through that. It's not the same as having -1 damage, but it is also only 1 CP. So I do think this is a very good strat. It's obviously a very good strat as well. The next one that we got is Death Heads. It's 1 CP in the shooting or fight phase. Or no, I'm sorry, it's 1 CP just the shooting phase for the Futurefire. Basically what happens here is he picks a unit within 8 inches and they just have all 3 afflictions. So, like, that's really good. Death Stars just don't exist against this detachment. You're -1 toughness, you're -1 save, you're -1 move, you're -1 leadership, -1 OC, and -1 to hit. Get fucked. Your Terminator unit is moving 4 inches, are toughness 4 with a 3-up save, are leadership 7, and are definitely OC 1, and they hit on 4s. Like, that's just not a scary unit anymore. It's just not. It dies so much easier, it hits so much worse. Like, I take shits that are more threatening than that. So, that's what the Death Heads is. The next one that we have, which is more of just I'm going to mention these last few, is Rabid Infusion. That's 1 CP to get fights first, but it only hits Plague Marines, and it has to hit a unit that has 2 characters. So basically, it has to hit a Plague Marine unit that doesn't already have a Blight spawn in it, because he gives that unit fights first anyways. So I don't like it that much. Then we also have another 2 CP strat that gives out full rerolls to hit and to wound if your unit that you're attacking is below starting strength. It's 2 CP, but my god. So like basically you hit a Plague Burst Crawler, or like the Plague Burst Crawler hits a thing and does damage to it. Then you get full rerolls to wound against it. That's really pricey at 2 CP, but like hilarious on Death Shrouds with a Prince nearby. Maybe make it 1 CP. It's a few ducks to line up, I know, but like that unit of Death Shroud Terminators is going to be averaging 25 wounds on something that's toughness 12 at AP3. And as a reminder, they start with 24 attacks, and you end up with more wounds than attacks. So something's wrong there. But that's also probably why it's 2 CP. But it seems like overkill, dude. reroll all hits and wounds, like, okay. The last one that you have is Mobile Vectors. It's really weird. A character can attach to a unit that he would be able to attach to. So I guess you'd have like a Foot Lord that can attach to Blight Lords later on, or you could have a Lord that survived from some other unit attached to something else. Really fucking weird. It's a complete waste of a stratagem slot in my opinion, and it's fucking garbage. So let's take a moment to really figure out what belongs in the detachment. After speaking, I think I've convinced myself the Lord of Poxes definitely does belong in here, because you can have him in a unit with the Futurefire, then use the strat on them to give him fights first. And then with the other unit, you have the Blight spawn there for just natural fights first, and then another Futurefire for crits on 5. So I think that that's a viable option there. But let's break that down a bit. You got the Lord of Poxes, he gives the unit lone op. He also has an extended Contagion range. The Futurefire gives him crits on 5s. So you could be walking around with Plague Marines that are lone op with an 18, making them a little bit more safe. Have an extended Contagion range. You could also pop +2 toughness on that unit if you really needed to, if something did get into range of them. But then, you know, crits on 5s and then still have access to fights first. And then if you do give him that enhancement, he can be giving out another affliction as well with his extended Contagion range. So I think that he fits in here. Obviously, our Demon Prince fits in here. The Demon Prince fits into every detachment. He likes discounting strats that are 2 CP. He likes making strats that are 1 CP just free. The Demon Prince is just good. You're going to take the Demon Prince most of the time, I think. And you guys might not like this conclusion all that much, because my answer is that this detachment supports really whatever you want to take. I've said in other videos that a lot of the units synergize with themselves, or not with themselves, but with other units in the Codex, just completely outside of any detachments. Some units do perform better in specific detachments, or there's more like support for them, sure. But the fact that they synergize internally with each other as different units means that you can kind of go buck wild with picking your detachment. And so I'm kind of just going to say this, but you just can build this however you want. You can literally use this detachment and take literally any of the units, including ones that I didn't talk about, except for the demon ones, I guess, which I'm probably not going to talk about. But I don't think it's all viable, because the detachment rule is viable for everything. You get to flip up your affliction. You have an enhancement that can then permanently give out another affliction. And with those two things in mind, there's nothing stopping you from taking the same units that you would take in any other detachment. Like, it's hard to recommend specific units for this detachment because they're just all going to benefit. So I say go wild here. Really. I think you have a good time of it no matter what your list looks like if you're using this detachment, and probably making sure that you take the enhancement to get a second affliction. I don't think it matters what your list is at that point. I think you can just have anything and it's going to be effective. Now, I'm also not sure if this is really necessary. I know I just did an entire video about this detachment, but like, do you even? And I think it's a legit question. Is having the ability to change up your Contagion, or potentially have 2 at once, worth it over other detachments? Is it better than having access to -1 damage, auto explode, and repair? Is it better than being able to pick which units are afflicted? And I'm not sure. So I'm going to leave it up to you. Let me know down below what you think of this detachment. Make sure to thunderhammer the like and subscribe button while you're at it, and make sure to give Nurgle's bell your blessing. And that's going to do it for this one, my fellow 40k theorists. So slow and stinky always wins the race, theory hard, and I'll see you motherfuckers next time.